Hi, everybody. I have on the phone someone who I think is very special. I'm showing you her website here. Her name is Amaterasu Solar. Did I say that right, Amy?
Amaterasu Solar. But
Amaterasu, Amatera, Amaterasu Solar. Okay. So a lot of you have seen her in the comment section on my videos, and this is the same icon that you see that is her avatar. And we can call her Amy. And she is all about solutions. And one of the things I wanted to do, I'm by the way recording this the day before the election of the new terrorist in the government, and I wanted to work on solutions and offering people solutions because we're living in a crazy world. Well, it's a beautiful world, but unfortunately we are being run by a disastrous government, and we do need solutions. And I thought, what a better place to come than to Amy here, who has been, since I've known her, on my channel talking about solutions all the time. So we're just going to get right into this. This is actually my first sort of, well, this is this is the first time I'm actually calling somebody and they know that they're being recorded. Because I make a lot of, well, no, that's not true. I do tell some people that I'm recording their call, but they don't know that they're going to be on my YouTube channel. But anyway, I've had people say to me, "I want to be on your show," and I've said, "What show? I don't have a show. I have a YouTube channel, you know." But so we could call this my first show, I guess. I don't know, you know, if I'll do more like this, but we'll see. So let's just get into it. What should we? I think one of the first things we might want to. Well, what do you want to talk about, Amy? I want you to tell us what is your first and foremost solution to what's going on in this
well,
whole crazy world.
as far as the solution is concerned, I recommend that we all walk away from this crazy system that is run by some rather psychopathic individuals, to say the least, and
Absolutely.
consent to a better setup whereby we promote, instead of psychopaths, as this present system does, promote the caring individuals amongst us to take care of things, solving problems instead of passing laws, and put that in quotes. Because there are only three laws in this universe, and those are the three laws of ethics. And everything else is an act, a bill, a code, a ordinance, a regulation, a declaration, a rule, a constitution. None of it is a law.
Right. The
And,
the laws of ethics would be the same as natural laws. Is that right?
well, in essence, yes. Basically, the three laws of ethics are: do not, without fully informed consent, hurt or kill the flesh of another.
Right.
Do not willfully and without fully informed consent take or damage anything that does not belong to yourself.
Right.
And do not defraud another, which can only happen without fully informed consent.
Right, exactly. So it sounds like
You
kind of like they're no-brainers. Like
Pretty much.
most people would really, I believe that most people
Well,
understand those three natural laws or laws of ethics and would live by that freely and without being told to, you know.
In fact, presently, most of us do.
Right.
There's really, it turns out, a very small fraction of us who do not obey those laws as a rule. Now, occasionally
Right.
there may be exceptions, but almost invariably they deal with money. And that brings me to my second part of the solution, which is to get free energy out into the open one way or another, come hell or high water.
Yes.
Because all money is accounting for human energy added into the system that they control, which makes us slaves. I
Right.
mean, anytime you have to account for your energy to another to survive, you are not free. And that leads to many, many, many people going to jobs they hate, or that
Yeah.
at least they are bored to tears with.
Yes, I've been there.
Yeah, I
I think
think
we
most
all
of
have
us have.
experienced that. Exactly. I want to
So,
back up. I want to back up just a little before we get on to free energy.
sure.
I know you have some experience with that. Um, I think a lot. You mentioned a small percentage of humans who do break those laws, those natural laws that we're discussing. And I think that it's because they have all these other oppressive rules and regulations on them. I mean, the government's made it so that we can't, it's very hard for most of us to actually get ahead or even make ends meet. So we're kind of forced into oftentimes
Uh,
breaking those laws.
yes, oftentimes that is the problem. And of course, the ones who consistently break these laws would be the psychopaths in our society.
Right,
They're the ones who have zero remorse for what they do.
right. That makes a lot of sense. Okay,
And
so you were talking about human labor, which is really
human energy.
human energy, right?
Hmm.
Go ahead and
And
continue on with that.
okay, well, like I said, we presently are accounting for human energy added to the system, and money, which is what we use to account for that energy, uh, is the only tool these psychopaths that are presently in control have to maintain control over human society as they do.
Right.
There is nothing that they can do, or rather get others to do, that doesn't boil down to initially money and or power, which are both they're equivalent. Money equals power equals energy.
Right.
And if we were to add free energy, we would eliminate the need to account for energy. And especially with robotics coming along so nicely,
Right.
we can put robots into any necessary work that no one wants to do. I can't imagine that would take very long if we put our minds to it
Right.
together, co-creatively. Uh, and that would free all of humanity to live as abundantly as they choose, because this is a very abundant planet with artificial scarcity created by the money system. It creates poverty and privilege and all of that. With all it besides the political system, which the top-down option of control mind, money too promotes psychopaths because they are the ones who are willing to do absolutely and literally anything to get the money slash power over others, which
Right.
that's what drives them.
You just described the Clintons.
Oh, I think I just described
A lot of
Trump.
people in government. Yeah, Trump too.
I just described, yeah, virtually all of them that are together in that bloody bed.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a question. If
Hmm.
we have this free energy and we have robotics doing all these menial jobs that nobody really wants to do, what would all these other people be doing?
That depends on what they want to do. If
Okay.
they want to be a couch potato, they're welcome to it. It's no skin off of anyone's nose. But I don't know a single couch potato that didn't have something they wanted to do but couldn't afford it.
Right. So that brings me to another question that I think a lot of people, when they hear you say what you just said, are going to ask, well, how do they make money? So you're Your train of thought is, why do we need money, right?
Precisely.
Okay.
Precisely.
So I want to hear you talk about that for a little bit.
Well, let us suppose that we all could live as richly as we chose. This would give us the leisure and industry of interest that the elites presently enjoy. Unfortunately, their interests seem to run towards oppressing and enslaving the rest of us.
Right.
Most of us, however, would be doing things like traveling, um, building things, doing art, creating music, putting together performance troops, getting together with people to solve problems. And that is why I think we should be solving problems, because we are problem solvers by nature. And anytime a problem would crop up in this system, you would have people who it affected willing to try to solve for it.
Exactly.
Because if no one thinks it's a problem, it's not a problem, and no one would bother to do anything about anything that isn't a problem, which
Right.
leaves people unmolested when they're not actually creating a problem. We wouldn't have people, say, breaking into homes and arresting people because they're smoking pot. Ooh.
Right.
They're not creating any problems.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we're creating problems by these, again in quotes, laws.
Right.
There's nothing unethical about smoking pot. The only thing that is unethical is certain chosen behaviors.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I mean, it's a plant you grow in your yard. How can that be illegal?
Yes.
You have free will to do with it as you please, but
anything can be illegal. That system can say whatever it wants is illegal, but I don't think we should be consenting to that entire legal system, because it thwarts ethics far more than it serves them by a long shot.
Right.
Just the marijuana laws, the cannabis laws, them alone, it's thwarting ethics. The fact that GMO is, quote, legal, unquote,
right, exactly,
to enter into our environment without the fully informed consent of all of us.
Right.
Right there, it's thwarting ethics, because ethically, something on that order should require everyone's fully informed consent.
Right, and that opens up a whole other topic of conversation, because we are all on this planet being fooled about something fundamental. But I want to talk a little more about consent. I have a form that you sent to me, but first, just to go back a little bit about not having to work for actual money. This would also have something to do with a barter system, wouldn't it?
Not necessarily. In fact, I don't envision people having to exchange to survive in any fashion. I envision the rewards for doing things to come in a social currency. If you solve a problem, people are going to think very highly of you and respect you and give you kudos and so on and so forth. You may get famous. These social currencies actually do a lot more driving in our society than most people are aware.
Right. Yeah.
Social currency is the best, because it is accounted for in the hearts and the minds of those people around one.
Right.
And so, yeah, you'd have people who are very motivated to make things better, because when you make things better, people appreciate it, and appreciation is a social currency.
Right. And I think in a lot of cases, the fruit of your labor would be the payment. If you're an architect and you want to build something and you get all these other people to partake in that creation, well, the
Mm-hmm.
reward and the payment is the end result of that creation. You've created this amazing structure that everybody can enjoy. There's your
Right.
payment.
Self-satisfaction is another social currency, albeit it's in your own heart and mind,
Right.
but it's still technically a social currency. And yes, a lot of people will do things just for that satisfaction of being able to, and bragging rights.
Yeah.
You can say, "Look at that beautiful building! Isn't it awesome? I designed that. I
Yeah.
helped to build that."
Well, I think that that's what the main motivator is of most entertainers and architects. They don't get into that line of work because they want all the money it's going to give them. They have a love of
Right?
creating something beautiful. And
Absolutely.
a lot of entertainers, a lot of them do it for money, but a lot of them do it because they just have this need to create and to be expressing their artistic, vision. And they
Precisely.
like the attention. So the money is kind of secondary. I think
Yep.
I think people who have jobs like that are the happiest
Yeah.
when their motivation isn't the money.
Yep. In fact,
Absolutely.
anybody who has a job motivated by a love for doing it is going to be far happier than somebody who's just doing it to get the accounting tokens.
Yep, exactly. And those would be a lot of the menial jobs, the
Precisely.
minimum
And
wage jobs. Those, I
and then
mean,
you can think about the fact that there are a ton of jobs on this planet that their only purpose, when you boil it down, is to move the bulk of the wealth to these psychopaths that are
exactly,
presently in control.
exactly.
You know, if you get rid of money, nobody has to be in sales. Nobody has to be a cashier. Nobody has to be an accountant. Nobody has to be, even insurance, collections. I
Right,
mean, I don't know anybody in collections who loves their job.
right,
I just don't. Uh, there you can eliminate all those unnecessary jobs, those wastes of human energy,
yeah,
and
that makes
allow
sense.
those people to create positively as they choose,
Right,
as they feel motivated to do so.
right. I hadn't
You
thought of
know,
that. With a system that's not dependent on this fiat currency, I hadn't thought of that there would be so many jobs that would just disappear.
yep, yep. Really only about 10% of us at any given time are required to operate the things that are necessary for human society to function. And certainly, I think we would find more than 10% willing to offer their assistance towards making sure problems don't arise, like food distribution, power generation, uh, building homes,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Certainly we would find plenty of people willing to help,
Yeah.
and the ones with the best ideas to solve the problems will emerge as leaders. They do anyway, to as far as well as they can within any structured, I'm in charge type system.
Right.
Still, the better ideas, the better concepts, the better designs are the ones that emerge more or less, despite this hindrance of a system within which arise in.
Right. I think it's more rewarding for people too to be a part of a community and everybody's working together. I mean, it's not something we really have right now. Everybody's just out in their own little cubbyhole
Right.
type of job, doing, working for that paycheck, waiting for
Yep.
that payday.
Yep. Everybody's working for the weekend, which is when they, if they can afford it, they can have their leisure and their industry of interest.
Right.
And I don't see why we can't be all doing that all the time.
Exactly. I wholeheartedly agree. So let's talk a little bit about this withdrawing consent,
Okay.
and consenting to, and what we can
Yes.
consent to, because that's the solution. And, well,
That
withdrawing the consent is a solution, but you always have to have the solution to that.
right, right. Just what withdrawing consent is about, you know, running half the race and then stopping.
Right.
You gotta go somewhere.
Right.
So you make a statement to any and all who will listen. I withdraw consent from the top down government, or as I call it, control mind, which is what it is.
Bullying
Uh,
police.
and consent to a system run on the web where we are solving problems instead of the law passing.
Right.
Withdrawing consent from the legal system and consenting to the 3 laws of ethics only.
Right.
And withdrawing consent from the accounting system that we have in place, and consenting to the releasing one way or another of free energy, which is going to be our biggest hurdle. And,
right. Yeah.
I want to go into how I know we have free energy, but we're working on the what we consent to.
Right.
Saying that you consent to that, and then hopefully those who care and have the wherewithal will start working on developing the free energy. There's lots of information on the web, and I personally, because of my experience, recommend looking into electrogravitics.
Mm-hmm.
But there are many different ways that have come up to draw upon the energy in the ether, which is the energy we swim in.
Right.
And they have all been either hidden or suppressed in one fashion, either by the patents being bought out. Failing that, they will try to set up, say, a blackmail scenario, or threaten the inventor or their loved ones, or all of the above.
Right.
Or, and if they fail at all of these, they will do what they can to ruin the inventor. And if they can't do it any other way, they will kill them.
Right. Well, they want us to stay on this ridiculous paradigm of buying oil.
Well, it's buying energy, whether it's oil, whether it's gas, whether anything where the money system remains, because as I said, money is their only tool, and free energy removes removes money. You don't need to account for the energy, so
Right.
they are avid in their suppression and their hiding of things.
Okay.
Very much so.
You mentioned people looking up, what did you say, electrics or vitics?
Electrogravitics.
Oh, gravitics. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So that's Gravitics. Gravitics?
That's it. Gravitics. Yes,
Okay.
it deals with the relationship between electricity and gravity.
Okay.
And that maybe this is a good lead-in to explain why I know about electrogravitics and why I know that we've got free energy.
Okay, let's get into that, but I want you to, you have a little addendum to the consent to part being a, oh gosh, just went out of my head.
You mean
open source, the open source. Because I have it on the screen here. It says solve problems by reporting them on a central site on the web. So that has to be, there should be in here also that it's open source, right?
Yeah, it should be constructed open source, because I don't believe we should consent to any hidden code that is going to be generally used. And in fact, I was stunned and amazed when people just accepted the idea that voting machines should have any proprietary software, and especially when you consider that any 15-year-old who loves to program
Right.
could write a program to count votes.
Right. Well, we all know those voting machines are rigged, and
Well, yeah, that there's absolutely zero reason for a proprietary program being used in a public works.
right. It's amazing that with all the information out on these rigged voting machines, you even have a man on camera on a YouTube video. You can find him. He's under oath saying that he actually programmed one of these machines to rig a vote. So how can we even have? How are they even in use? I mean, it just proves the corruption in our system that is still using these same things to count votes. It's unbelievable.
I agree.
Or not.
And all the more reason to just withdraw consent from that idiocy.
Yeah, that's what I did
It's like, I don't support that in any way.
Right.
I'm outie.
Yeah, that's what I did.
I've walked out of that theater, and I'm off to create something better.
Exactly, and that's what we have to do. And people have to understand, and you and I talked about this before, understand that this is a very bountiful world, and all of this, anytime the government talks about, a shortage or a lack of, it's all nonsense. There is no lack of anything. There's enough. Nope. There's enough for probably twice as many people on this planet. But that's part of their control system, isn't it?
Oh yeah, they want us to consent to things they do to reduce the population to a number they can control.
Right.
That's really what they are after. They don't want this many people around because they can't control them as well as a smaller number.
Right. And that plays into their current and ongoing attempt to take away guns.
Take away every right to chip us, to control us 100%,
right,
24/7, and use our human energy to their desires. And in fact, with the robotics being added to the system as it is now, we are winding up with a whole bunch of excess human energy from their perspective. They say, oh my gosh, there's all these people, let's just plot and plan and script that World War III that Albert Pike wanted. We'll throw a bunch of bombs on everybody and kill off most people, and tell them, oh, it was those guys. Oh, it was those guys.
Yeah, and that'll probably be Russia.
I'm sorry?
It said that'll probably be Russia. Oh, Russia did it. Russia did it. It's always Russia did it.
Russia or China or North Korea. They've got North Korea being worked up as a boogeyman.
Yeah, of course. Everybody's always the boogeyman.
Yes, it's like whoever, they'll find somebody to blame it on.
Well, according to the government, today there's supposed to be an Al-Qaeda attack in either Texas, Virginia, or New York. So they're bringing Al-Qaeda back in. They just pull these boogeymen out of their hat anytime they feel like it. It's unbelievable.
Yes, they do.
It's insane. Okay, let's talk about, you have firsthand experience with free energy.
Yes.
Please do tell.
My father was an aerospace engineer working with T. Townsend Brown with electrogravitics, and he would come home every night and very excitedly tell us all about the experiments that they were doing and what the results were. And he explained that they were getting gravity control as well as energy from the ether. And he would describe to me what the world would look like that I was going to be growing up in because of his work. And he would explain that we would have flying cars, floating cities, and all the energy we could use.
Wow.
And I loved it. For bedtime stories, when Dad was home to do that job, I would beg him not to read a book. Just tell me about what the future was going to look like.
Right. That sounds great.
And then one night he came home from work. It was late, and he woke me up. So apparently this was pretty important.
Right.
He woke me up to explain to me that he couldn't talk about what he was doing at work anymore. He couldn't talk about the experiments. He couldn't. We couldn't talk about flying cars or floating cities,
right,
or free energy anymore.
Wow.
We couldn't even say the word electrogravitics.
Really?
Yes, because they wanted secret for now.
Sounds like they got closer to achieving their goals, and they realized, oh, we better not let this out.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure that the word of the energy, the free energy, got to the people at the very top who fully understand the intimate relationship between money and energy. And they said, oh, no, yeah, some of this could be used negatively, like all technology has that potential. But it was the free energy, I am fairly certain, that was the primary thing they wanted to close down as far as awareness was concerned. And so my father's job became above top secret, and he never talked about it again.
That's incredible. Maybe it's on Hillary's server.
Could be. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I know I've got anonymous Amaterasu in my logo, but the only reason is because when Anonymous first came out, I know they're controlled opposition. When they first came out, they said anybody could join, and I went, cool, I'll be Anonymous Amaterasu and put out my stuff.
Yeah.
And,
well, I
figuring it'd draw some attention, and it's drawn some.
Well, I think that their whole platform is basically we are all anonymous, because they apparently want everybody to believe that their message represents everybody, or all free people, or all people who want to be sovereign and free from the tyrannical government, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I know that they are all, the initial thing was a controlled opposition proposition from the start.
Yeah.
But to be honest, at the time that I first encountered it, I did not know that, and thought, oh, I'll be anonymous too. I'll be one.
I think we've all been there.
I'm an anonymous person.
I've been duped by the psyops as well.
Yeah, I think we all have to. It's more and more lately. I think we're beginning to go, no.
Yeah. Well,
but over the years, at first you go, oh, good, there's a solution. Just like, what's his name? The one that just recently came out and talked about all these people in the government that we're going to, right.
Oh, Pachenik, Pachenik.
I'll believe it when I see it,
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. I mirrored that video where he's talking about the coup that's happening in the government and the counter coup, and he even alluded to being part of a group of people who were the ones giving Julian Assange the WikiLeaks, and I'm like, what? But I put it out there, I put it out there because it sounded like something people needed to know about and hear, at least. And then a lot of people were saying, oh, he's controlled opposition. So anytime you ever talk about anybody, there's going to be some people, and he might be. There's going to always be another. I'm going to
guess he is. It's just too Benjamin Fulford for me.
Yeah.
Benny had started talking about how everything was just about to change and it was going to be glorious a decade or more ago, and it's like it just never gets there. And that's what I think we will see with this.
Yeah, you could be right.
Just a guess. I give that by far the highest probability.
Yeah, well, we want to stay on track with consenting and not consenting and solutions, but I will say that they always they always have to keep Americans feeling hopeful, like, oh, it's going to be better with just this one more person, and this next election, and this is going to be the one, and then it never happens because they're all pre-selected. Let's just put that way.
The hope and the change. Yeah, right.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah. But at any rate, yeah, I say we start consenting to better. Not just withdraw consent, but consent to better. Yes, specifically withdraw consent because they like their implied consent. In other words, if you don't specifically say you don't consent, they say, oh, well, they must consent because they didn't say they didn't.
Right.
And then that opens them up to do all kinds of things. It's sort of like if I walked up to you and said, I'm going to hit you in the face, and you just laughed but didn't say I don't consent to that, I might say, well, they didn't not consent, so it's okay to hit him in the face.
Right.
And that's basically the principle that they work on.
Right. So to a lot of people, saying don't consent sounds very abstract. What does it look like if you were not consenting? What's an actual physical action that people are doing when they're not consenting?
Well, unless they're confronted by people, say police or whatever, unless they're being confronted, they don't really have to change much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
But confronted by the IRS in particular, but
yeah.
When confronted, never create controversy by refusing. If they say, pay your taxes. No, I won't pay my taxes.
Right.
That creates controversy.
Right.
Instead, say, oh, I'd be happy to pay my taxes. I'd be happy to get that driver's license. I'd be happy to fill in the blank if you prove I am subject.
Right.
Exactly. And once you offer a deal,
right.
The deal is I will do that if
right,
you prove I'm subject.
Yeah, this is one of the most empowering things that people need to understand is turning it around on them and making them prove to you that you're subject to this. And what's the rest of it?
The rest of it, just prove that I am subject. And the rest of it is, as far as it goes, once you've withdrawn consent, there is no such proof. However,
exactly.
they may try to bully you. I'm going to hit you. I'm going to arrest you.
They'll threaten you.
They'll provide threats. They will become bullies. And the response to the bullying is, oh, I don't doubt that you can be a bully.
Right.
I accept that and need no proof.
Exactly.
And yes, if only a few of us are doing that, they may still get away with bullying. But if enough of us are doing that, they have no power. There's nothing they can do. And to be truthful, when you get down to it, the people who know the system that's in place understand that they have no power and cannot do anything to anyone who is not consenting to that system.
That's exactly right. They know they're tricking you, basically.
Yep.
And they're getting paid to do it, so they're going to do it.
Yep.
I told you, we spoke the other day, and I told you there's plenty of videos and information on the internet where you can actually listen to people explain how they challenge the IRS, who's saying they owe them money, and when asked to prove the law, they can't. They can't do it. So a lot of people are not having to pay those taxes they're told they have to pay and that they owe a government.
Yep.
I mean, this is a very deep subject. That gets into a whole lot of stuff that's very, very interesting and everybody needs to know about. Maybe we can talk about that again another time. But there's another part of what we're talking about where you tell them what is a reasonable amount of time.
Right. Well, let's suppose you're stopped in your car that has no license plates.
Mm-hmm.
Except maybe if I had a car, the plate would read no consent.
Right.
And they stop you, and you say to them, "I'd be happy to get that license plate if you prove to me that I'm subject." And then you might go on to say, "How much time do you think is reasonable to give you to provide that proof before I'm on my way?"
Exactly. Yeah, I love that part about this.
Yep.
Because this gives the people the power.
Yes,
and
it does.
It turns it around on these people. There's a lot of I have a little eraser board here beside my desk, and I've written on here something that I researched a while back. And it's when you're asked to sign your driver's license, and this is something people can look up. We're not going to get into it, but you write on this, because they ask you to sign the ticket if you get a ticket.
Uh-huh.
You write on there UCC-1-300-N8, Uniform Commercial Code.
Right.
And so that's something that I'm just putting that out there now for people to look into that, because basically what they're telling you is sign this ticket or I'm going to kidnap you by force with my gun.
Yep, I'm going to be a bully.
What they're doing.
That's
exactly.
Right. Well, here's the thing about signing and even writing on their tickets is, something like that, is that you are at that point validating part of the system.
Right.
That we don't want.
Right.
So, I'd be happy to sign that ticket if you prove I am subject.
Right. I think something a lot easier people can remember is when signing something like that is to write under your name, under duress. Because you're actually being threatened.
Yes, that's true. But
and that's just something that I saw.
would try to avoid that until it becomes clear that is being bullied is going to happen unless.
Well, if it's a ticket and you say, if I don't sign.
With, please, I'd be more than happy to sign that if you prove I'm subject.
Right.
Because I'm going to say that in a larger percentage than not cases of time, that much will work. There have been cases where people who have done something on that order, the bully is standing in front of them, has called their supervisor, and the supervisor said, "Let him go."
Wow. Yeah.
So,
this is all very empowering. I hope. I think a lot of people are aware of these things. This can all get into the straw man as well. This is such a deep subject as far as being a. I know.
Yeah, but the straw man also is part of their system.
Right, that's what I mean. It's part of their trick, their huge, massive trick on you. I don't know him personally, but there's a man here in LA who is a sovereign citizen. He drives around without a license plate. So that it's, from my understanding, it's a lot of work, but it can be done because the actual laws, well, not laws, I don't want to call them laws, but things are in place that protect you to allow you to become who you really are.
Well,
to escape
I
their,
don't even recognize those requirements because, I'll be more than happy to go through all that rigmarole if they prove I'm subject. I don't consent
right,
to that whole system to begin with.
right,
Why should I go through that? I have made this declaration, and I will tell anybody who asks that that is the case.
right.
And, if they expect me to leap through their hoops, they know where they can put those hoops.
Yeah, where the sun doesn't shine.
Pretty much, yep.
Yeah, I'm also not consenting, um, and it's it can be some work. I mean, let's not pretend it's easy, but it's important, and everybody needs to start doing this. So with this election and what I mean, just how we all know that our government is nonsense and tyrannical terrorists, et cetera, et cetera. We all have to start making a better world, and that's why I'm having you on this phone call now, and why we need to
Well,
start talking about these things.
I wanted to thank you just immensely for this, Robin. I am so pleased
Oh, good.
that you have allowed me to come on your YouTube channel.
Well, of course. And, I've been wanting to, but you've been talking about solutions and telling me you've been badgering me for a long time now.
Yeah, I have.
And I've been agreeing with you. Yes, we need to talk about solutions, and I have notes and files all over the place labeled solutions, and then I just, how it is every day there's new information, and I just feel so compelled to get this out and share this information, expose these creatures, and that's what I'm doing.
I am astounded that there are so many people on either side of the Trump-Hillary thing that support them. They're both such scum.
Yeah, a lot of people assume because I bash Hillary mostly that I'm pro-Trump, and I've said many times I have unregistered to vote. I literally sent a letter and I said, do not, and I know they did it because I don't get any of this, vote, all this paraphernalia that comes in the mail around elections. I don't get any of that, so I know I'm off their system now, and that's exactly where I want to be. And I don't support either one of them. I don't support any of them because the problem we face is much, 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 much deeper than these puppets they put into their office. And they're all going to do the same bidding and the same thing that the central bankers or the top of the pyramid want them to do. There's no way they're going to let us. They have such contempt for us. I mean, do people actually think they're going to allow us to actually vote in the person they need to control? This is just ridiculous.
I agree.
It's utterly ridiculous.
I'm just kind of astounded.
Yeah, well, people really need something to have hope about. So when you hear Trump, I mean, let's face it, Trump is saying things we've never heard anybody say before. Never.
Pretty much, that's true.
And that could be
but
that could be by design.
He stands with Israel.
I know, and that's a problem. And I just actually, what delayed our call today was that video that I made exposing that and talking about Trump. So
I'm looking forward to seeing it because
I think a lot of people aren't
obviously
going to
I haven't seen it yet. Not being here talking to you instead of looking at your channel.
No. So yeah, it's well, anyway, it's mind-boggling. It's all very mind-boggling, isn't it?
It is. The depth of the rabbit hole is. I would never have guessed several years ago just how deep the universe of the rabbit hole is.
Me too. How long have you been awake, by the way?
Prior to 9/11.
Oh, okay.
It was when I first discovered a site that listed the phenomenal number of problems that were created versus being solved with the war on drugs.
Oh yeah.
And I sat there going, in a non-psychopathic universe, we would be solving these problems by getting rid of the war on drugs.
Exactly.
And so when 9/11 came around, I was a little suspicious. And when it first happened, I'm like, okay, what's this about? And then when I watched Osama being named within half an hour
Right.
and then tried and convicted in the media by the end of the day,
Right.
I'm going, okay, something's up. And plus, I had a number of people. I was working at a military base at the time under a civilian contract.
Mm-hmm.
And, a number of these people have experience with explosives and whatnot and so on. And as we watched the buildings come down, we were
Right.
discussing how did they get into those buildings to plant all those explosives?
Exactly.
And then the following day they came, oh, no explosives used at all. It was all jet fuel.
Right.
I'm just sitting there going, oh, no, this is BS.
Yeah, I wish I'd been that aware at the time. But,
well, I tell you, it was a lonely place to be initially. Oh,
yeah.
My gosh.
Oh, yeah. I saw Building 7 collapse 5 years ago online, and that's what woke me up, and it was very, very depressing. So you have to go through that. It's like a birthing, and then your paradigm shifts. Your paradigm shifts completely, and the whole world looks totally different suddenly, like instantly. It's very jarring. And all your friends who are still sheep can't understand. They don't know what you're talking about.
That's true.
So that's a hard thing that we all have to deal with. But I wouldn't rather have it any other way.
I'm still delusional, according to my my sister and brother. But someday I'm hoping that they will finally get that one piece of information that moves their world the proper direction.
And that's a good note to close on, is that people are waking up, and we have this circus of a presidential election to thank for that, and WikiLeaks and Project Veritas Action, who's exposed a lot of things. I mean, I think that in the last month more people have woken up than they have in the last couple of years, I would think.
Yeah, I'm seeing a greater and faster number of people waking up. It's very promising.
It is. It's
very
a wonderful
promising
thing. And solutions are a huge part of making our world a better place. And people have to understand it is their world.
Co-creating a better now than what we presently see.
And the government is not the mommy, and it is not the daddy. It is a terrorist organization, and people need to get that in their head, and they need to stop consenting to a terrorist organization.
Yep, that's right.
So we'll close on that, and I thank you so much for your time and for being a cheerleader for this new world order that we desperately need, and not the one they want, the one that we need, the one that we deserve.
Yes, a better order.
Yes, the people's new world order, not the government's new world order.
That's right. The non-psychopaths world order versus the psychopaths world order.
Wonderful. All right, I'm going to link to your website.
Awesome.
And I'm going to link that consent form comparison sheet that I showed. And we'll be talking to you soon. I thank you so much, everybody, for being here.